Have you ever wondered what happens in a level 1 freediving course? Well, I just did one on the weekend, and I'm going to tell you how to prepare for one of these courses, all the details about what happens in one of these courses, and what I learned. So to do that, I'm actually going to go through a few different things today. I've written down some notes just after finishing it because I don't want to lose any of the things that I've learned during the course. And hopefully this can help you make a decision whether you want to do a course like this or not, which, from my experience, I think was well worth it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share why I wanted to do the course, what were my motivations, and then I'll go through things like the booking, the online course that you have to do, day 1 training, day 2 training, and then I'm going to just tell you about my experience in general and whether I'd recommend it, what were the good and even the bad things about the course. Okay, so why did I want to do the course? Well, I got a few reasons. One of the main reasons, I've been really enjoying snorkeling, and I guess you could call it freediving, snorkeling while holding my breath to film wildlife under the water, which you'll see on this channel. Lots of the wildlife I like to film, and I just wanted to increase my skills in this area. I mean, ideally, so that I can dive down nice and calmly, and when I have an encounter with wildlife, I want to film it for longer. And I want to have the confidence to be able to dive down deeper to where other wildlife, like, Queensland gropers, for instance, in one of the dive spots I go to, they're about 8 meters depth where you find them. So I'd like to build my skills there. One of the other reasons was that I still have some pain from my chronic back pain. I've actually did a video about that about a year or so ago, so you can watch that. But effectively the being in the water and snorkeling and the breathing, controlled breathing, really helps me deal with my chronic pain. And a lot of the relaxation and sort of the, I guess you could call it mindfulness techniques to prepare for free diving really helps with this too. So I wanted to learn more of these techniques to help me with my pain. And the other reason, and this is a really important one, is when I'm going out, with friends to go diving, I want to know how to rescue them. If they're having a blackout, or if they're, I want to know what the signs are when they're about to have a blackout and how to actually pull them out of the water and rescue them and revive them. These are the sorts of skills I really want to know. So, this is why I wanted to do the course. And I think the course actually met these, what I wanted to get out of it really well. So let's have a look at the course itself. To book it, you can find freediving courses from heaps of different places. I did mine through a place called ISSN Freediving. I just found them online, and they offer 3 different types of courses. They're all pretty much the same from what I heard. They're just run by different institutions. So there's the Molchanovs, which is a company run by Alexei Molchanov and his family. He's like a world famous freediver. And then there's PADI, P-A-D-I, and they're sort of one of the main industry scuba diving institutions, but they also do freediving stuff. And then there's SSI, which is the one I went with because the instructors of the course recommended that that's probably the one, just the simplest, or the one that's the best for me. So I went with them, but they said there's not much difference between them. So I booked that. Costs about, I think it was $599, so $600 for the 2-day course with Ocean Sense Freediving under the SSI certification system. That's not the total cost. Well, it depends. If you have any health conditions, like I do, so there's like a checklist to make sure you don't have any serious health conditions. And I had to tick yes on a few of them, which was, have you had chronic back pain in the last year or so? And have you had surgery recently? And I had hip surgery about 6 months ago. So because I ticked yes on those boxes, under the SSI certification program, and I'm guessing it's the same for the other ones too, you actually need to go to a GP and get clearance from the GP to sign and say, yes, you can do this training. So That's actually pretty expensive. I thought it'd just be a normal GP consult. 20 minutes, they sign it, they go, yep, we know your history, you're good. But for some reason, GPs decide they can charge an extra $100 or so just because it has dive on the worksheet, so on the form. So it cost me about, I think, $165 to get my GP to clear it, which it's a bit ridiculous, but that's what it costs. So if you're thinking about doing this course and you've got some underlying health conditions that still allow you to dive, but you just need to get clearance for, it's probably going to cost you more like $750. So just keep that in mind. So yeah, other than, book on the website, fill out these forms, you'll get a login to your, like an online portal for the group you go with. So I went with SSI, I had a login for that portal, filled out the forms, including the medical signed statements. And then what you get is an online training course to do before the day 1 and day 2 training, usually run on a weekend. So the online course is for me, it was through the SSI portal. And there were 6 different sort of sections of the online learning module to go through. I'll just briefly summarize them. So the first section was sort of the biology aspect, not super dense technical info, but things about how the body responds to holding your breath, what oxygen does in your body, how it converts to CO2 and then comes back out, so what percentages of oxygen go in and come out, and all those sorts of details which are interesting to know. And then part 2 is about the physics of pressure. So when you dive down underwater, if you've ever tried, your ears will start to hurt as you dive deeper, and you need to equalize as you go deeper. So it's all about the physics behind that, which isn't, again, it's not super crazy physics. I've got a background in physics, so I quite enjoyed it, but you probably don't need more than a grade, 8 or 9 high school level physics knowledge. And even then, they explain it quite well, so you don't really need that to start with, but that would be handy. They go through pressure, also things like how pressure affects the body in other ways. They talk about it a bit further on, but how it affects scuba divers and sometimes free divers who go deep. Then section 3 is about the buddy system and the different disciplines. So you've got, just holding your breath, floating in the water, holding your breath while swimming underwater along a pool, and then holding your breath while swimming down into the ocean, which is what most people think of free diving as. So all those systems, there's all those disciplines of freediving, there's a buddy system to go with it. There's a certain way that the person, looking out for you, there's certain things they should do and be looking for while you're performing these freediving disciplines. The 4th section was on gear, equipment, why you get certain equipment and safety features of equipment. 5th section, freediving planning. So effectively, how do you read weather, tides? It wasn't super detailed, but essentially, how do you make sure you're going to have a good time freediving before you get in the water? Checking you got buddies who have the same level of experience and things like that. And the final section, which I think was a really important one, is about safety and even how to rescue people and how to look for sort of symptoms that people are starting to struggle holding their breath, like loss of motor control and leading up to blackout. So very useful information. The course goes through each of these 6 sections, and after each section you get review questions, which you got to get most of them right to get to the next section, and then eventually you have a final exam, which sounds daunting, but just like the review questions, you can attempt them as many times as you want until you get them right. So you do have to get all the final exam questions right, but if you get a section wrong, you just do the section again until you get them all right, and they're the same repeated questions. So you'll get them eventually, and that just helps you remember the right answers and get that knowledge in your brain. So online course takes, they say on the website, I think it was either SSI or the dive website, they said it takes about an hour to do. They must be very, very quick readers and quick at doing this content because it took me, I'm probably a bit of a slow reader, but it took me about 6 hours I spread that over a couple of days. So yeah, it does take a while. I'd, give yourself 6 hours or so to do it properly. Cool. Online course, that's done. Then you're ready for your first day of training. So I've got my notes for day one training. The first couple of hours in day one, you'll be with the instructor. So for me, I had an instructor named Gonzalo. He was fantastic. I had him for both days, and very helpful. I think he's actually a freediving champion from like a national record holder from Peru. So yeah, really experienced. And yeah, he taught the course really well. He'll go through, or your instructor will go through the theory in the first couple of hours of the course. So you'll just sit down in an open area and with a little laptop and a computer screen and just sort of like a slideshow but you'll also get little practical tips in between. So one of the exercises, for instance, we learn a bit about equalization and the soft palate, which is like, you've got your nose sort of cavity and then your mouth area, and then between there you've got this little like flap of skin or flesh inside, which is a soft palate, and that can block the air passageway between them. And if you can't learn to relax that, you'll struggle to equalize underwater. So to practice that, what you do is you blow up a balloon and then you let the balloon air go without sucking the air into your lungs. You're trying to just let the air essentially just release through your nose. And to do that, you have to be able to relax your soft palate. So that was a really cool exercise to practice that. And so you do these little things that are more practical than just the online course during the theory session. Then after all the theory's done, you move on to the pool. And that's where you spend the rest of day one. And so about 3 hours for the theory and then another 3 hours or so after a lunch break at the pool. And at the pool, we'll do things, we started actually out of the water, lying down on yoga mats, and you just sort of, the instructor will lead you through like a relaxation breathing exercise, I guess you could call it. So they walk around and you're lying down, and in a very relaxed voice they'll say, okay, now I want you to breathe in, hold for 3 seconds, breathe out. You might breathe out, exhale for a few more seconds. Focus on the way that your lungs expand when you breathe in and how they relax when you breathe out, and diaphragm breathing. And it's very relaxed, and yeah, it's actually, I almost fell asleep during the session, which shows how effective it was. So you're just learning how to relax your body, relax your mind, because it's not just your muscles that consume oxygen, but it's also your brain. If you're thinking all over the place and stressed out, you're not going to be able to hold your breath for a very long time. So after that, we then get in the pool and do what they call static apnea, which is just fancy name for holding your breath while you're floating in the water. So you've got your mask on, face down, snorkel out, and you just hold your breath for as long as you can, just floating and relaxing in the water, and then just lift up, hold onto the side when you're done, and then you have some recovery breaths, which was an important thing they taught us, which is they taught us how to use this sort of hope sounding breathe. So you go like that, and it's quite forceful, but you'll do that after, as soon as you finish your breath hold and you resurface. Recovery breaths, and then to make sure that your buddy, the person looking after you, who's often the instructor, knows you're okay. You don't nod, because then it looks like you're blacking out. Instead, you give them a hand signal like that, okay, and you're all good. So that's what we learned in the static apnea session. And then you actually do the same thing, but this time your buddy is taught how to actually rescue you if you're starting to have a blackout, or if you've got loss of motor control is what they call it, the stages leading up to a blackout. So you'll float holding your breath, and then they'll tap you on your shoulder. And the normal thing is, if you get tapped on the shoulder, you wiggle your finger just so that your buddy can see, oh yeah, they're still awake and they're fine. They're just holding their breath. But if they tap you on your shoulder and you don't wiggle your finger, which is what you practice to give them an opportunity to rescue you, then what you do is you flip them around, hold them, I think like back of the neck, hand facing backwards, and your elbows sort of along their spine, and then blow, tap, breathe was the...
Sorry, I made a mistake here. Blow, tap, talk, not breathe. When you talk, you do say breathe, but talk is what you should remember. Blow, tap, talk. Back to the video.
I think it is. So you just blow across, take their mask off, blow across their face, which stimulates the sort of the unconscious mechanism to breathe, because the face is sort of going, oh, okay, there's air rushing past me. I must be out of the water and able to breathe. So you do that, blow, give them a light tap on the face, and you actually say breathe and their name as well. Breathe, John, for example. And that's because their subconscious can recognize that. So yeah, that's part of the rescue thing, and that was one of the things I really enjoyed learning about. After all that static stuff, we then go to the pool, the 50-meter pool to just do 200 meters of swimming. That's something that they need to tick off for the certification that you can swim 200 meters. That was, I've done lots of swimming, so I found that fine. And then you'll do dynamic apnea, which is the same sort of thing as before, but instead you've got your weight belt on. You just sink down or dive down to the bottom of the pool, and then you just, with your flippers, or your fins, I shouldn't say flippers, fins, you just kick along the bottom of the pool as far as you can. And then when you feel the urge to breathe, you just come up to the edge, do your recovery breaths, okay, and you're all good. So I think you had to get past 20 or 30 meters, but both me and the other person in our course got to about 40, no problems. So yeah, that went well. And then you do a buddy system where, and you learn how to rescue someone, where while they're swimming on the bottom, you swim at the top without your weight belt. And when they pretend to black out, you dive down, flip them around, bring them up, get them towards the edge, and do all the same things with the static apnea rescue. Cool, so that's day one. And you then go to day two, which, if the weather's good, is the next day. Otherwise, you might have to wait a while until they got a boat trip ready with the good weather. Fortunately for us, it was just the next day. Got down to the boat ramp very early to the dive center, loaded all the gear into the boat. This time, it wasn't just two of us and the instructor. There was a group of about 13 or so people from different sessions, so yeah, it was really nice to meet some other people. There were a few experienced freedivers on the trip too, who were just doing their own thing while we were doing our training. So it was cool to, hear from their experience too. Take the boat trip out. We went a couple of kilometers, I think, offshore out past the Gold Coast Seaway. And they set up this buoy system with triangles, these sort of pipes in between the buoys. It's all quite stable. And each buoy has these long ropes with weights down the bottom. And effectively you dive down with, next to the rope. You get to see how deep you go. So, we all got in the water, had an instructor for each group of us, about a group of 4 people with each instructor. I had Gonzalo again. They'll go through, I think it's called free immersion. So the first one that you learn is just, instead of kicking down, you actually just turn down, facing down, and you just hand by hand pull yourself down the rope, not too deep. And each time you pull a bit, you then equalize by holding your nose and, using the tongue on the roof of your mouth. And then pull, equalize, and you go down a bit, and you just come up. And the instructor actually dives down with you the whole time. So you always see an instructor, and they're guiding you through. They'll tell you when to go up. Get through that. Everyone has a turn. They get it right, or work on it until they do. And then we did the normal type of freediving, which I think they call constant weight, or bifins constant weight, where you go down and you kick down. You're not holding onto the rope, but you're going right next to it, neck straight, not looking up or down at the ground, you're keeping everything straight, and you're kicking down as far as you want, and then when you reach the end of the line or you've gone as far as you want, you turn around and kick back up, and then do your recovery breaths and okay signal. So yeah, that was really good fun. And then the last thing they added to that was actually the rescue practice. So that's where someone dives down just a couple, maybe 5 meters, then you dive down as the buddy. So normally what will happen is someone will dive down and they'll tell you, I'm going to dive this deep, and you go, okay. So let's say they dive 10 meters deep. Then at the surface, if you're the buddy, you'll wait about 10 seconds, assuming that's how long it takes them to get to their depth. Then you'll dive and meet them halfway up on the way back, and then you'll both move up together while you're watching them to make sure that they're fine. And of course, in a rescue situation, if you dive down, which we practiced, and you see them sort of black out, then or show loss of motor control or any symptoms leading to blackout, then you'll grab their. It's sort of like the dynamic apnea rescue in the pool, except you actually grab their chin as well with your other hand, just hold their mouth shut and have your hand against the mask, and then swim them up and do the same thing. And you actually while you're holding them, you actually kick gently sideways, just because it's much easier to hold them up while you're moving sort of sideways with your fins rather than just trying to kick upright the whole time. And you do all the same blow, tap, breathe rescue thing. So that was the skill that I really wanted to learn from this course, so that if I go out diving with people and I see those signs, now I know I've practiced it. I don't just I hadn't just watched a YouTube video on it. I've actually practiced it myself. I've got that muscle memory and those habits in place to save someone, and I found that super useful from the course. So big tick for me on that aspect of the course. Cool. So that was pretty much. There's other things that happens in day 2, but they're the main things. We finally all got back on the boat, went in, and they had a coffee session at the end just to debrief, and you sign the documents, and you're all good. You're certified level 1 freediver. Hooray! So after all that, just reflecting on it myself, from my experience, did I think it was worth it? I think it was completely worth it. The things I said at the start, I wanted to learn how to relax and handle my chronic pain better by relaxing and calming my breathing down. I got to learn that, and even in the pool session, before the pool session where we did the sort of lie down on the yoga mats, I actually was in a bit of pain in my back, because lying down flat on my back on a hard surface does flare my back up a bit. But as we went through I just sort of stayed there thinking I'll give it a go. And as we went through the relaxation technique routine and the slow breathing and the calm, my pain, was actually quite manageable and even went away by the end. So for me, that was a huge tick that I've now learnt a sort of breathing technique to manage my pain. So really positive for me there. I know how to rescue someone in a drowning situation or in a blackout situation, which is fantastic. Another big tick for me. And I've got the confidence to dive deep now, and I know I can stay down there for a little bit of time too, because I think I got down to about 12 or 14 meters in some of my dives, and I had no problems down there either. So looking forward to filming those Queensland gropers at Gold Coast Seaway now, and not needing to rush up for a breath straight away because I've done some training. So big tick for me there too. Now, some of the things, this is coming more to the theory, but what I mean, not just theory from a YouTube video or a website, but theory that you learn in practice. When you do it wrong, the instructor tells you, and you learn much better that way. These are the things the habits I had originally that I've had to correct, which the course helped me with, was that you shouldn't dive with your snorkel in your mouth. I've been doing that all the time up until this course. So it's a real habit that I've got to, before I dive, think about, okay, take that snorkel out of my mouth And the reason why is that if you have a blackout, your body's, they were saying your body's natural sort of safety response of shutting your mouth, can't do that because you've got a snorkel in your mouth. So really dangerous. So I'm not going to do that anymore, which I found that helpful in the course, not just to know that, but to be reminded of that when I was, going back to that old habit. Keeping your neck straight is important to, so that was something I learned from the course, which they really were telling us again and again. Keep your neck straight, keep your neck straight. It helps with holding your breath, and there's a whole bunch of other reasons for why it's a good thing. The importance of recovery. I've never done recovery breaths, so that sort of breathing after you resurface. That's something I've got to build in as a habit now, and realize how important that is. So that was a really key learning for me. And some other little things like the belt strap on your buckle, the length of your belt after you've already clipped it in, the excess length. Mine was really long before, and I used to sort of tuck it in or almost tie a knot in it. And apparently that's really bad, because if you're in a nasty situation down deep and you need to surface soon, to make that quicker, you can take your belt off. But if it's all tangled up, you're going to be in a bit of strife. So they were just saying, cut it shorter, so you've only got a tiny little flap. So I've done that now, which is going to be much safer for me. And this was an interesting thing I learned from the online course. I used to think it would be really cool to dive down and then meet a scuba diver down there and then share some of their air for a bit and just chill out there for a while and then come back up. Apparently this is a really bad thing, because when you dive down, your lungs are full of air, but as you dive down, that the pressure shrinks the volume of your lungs. So your lungs go down in volume because of the pressure. And then if you take a breath from a scuba diver, your lungs go back up. But then as you then return to the surface, what naturally happens is your lungs restore to their normal volume. But of course, if you've just filled them up, your lungs are going to get stretched ridiculously, and it's just not going to be good for your lungs. So I did not know how dangerous that. I haven't done it, but I thought it would be cool. Now I know not a cool idea. So so those are some of the things that I learned, which I guess surprised me, or that I had no idea about, and that I was actually doing wrong or beforehand. So that was where I think the course was really beneficial for me too. Cool. So I guess the one thing I want to say is you might think, even after watching this video, you might think, oh, cool, now I know what's in the course, I don't need to do it. Well, I'd say don't think that way, because one of the biggest benefits was the rescue training in the course, and also breaking habits that you do automatically and you don't think about, but the instructor's there to tell you, hey, you did this and you shouldn't, and then I should remove my mask. You can't learn that without someone actually watching you and teaching you. And to actually practice the rescue techniques, you build that into muscle memory. You can't do that just watching videos. So I'd definitely recommend actually going and doing these courses and not just relying on info online, which can only get you so far. Cool. So that's about it. For me, I think there's actually a few levels of training. You can do level 2 free diving and level 3, and then there's like instructor training. I'm really considering doing level 2 training, which you learn how to go deeper, hold your breath longer. I think they do a few more advanced techniques for rescue as well. But I'm really keen to do that probably in a year's time, after I just enjoy myself a bit more in the water and get my breath hold longer. But something I'm really looking forward to, and definitely recommend it. So I hope this video has been useful for you. Hopefully you're feeling more prepared. If you've got a freediving course coming up, hopefully it's helped you make a decision whether you want to do a freediving course or not. So if you found this video helpful, yeah, click the like button. I'd really appreciate that. And even share it with people that haven't seen it before, and subscribe to the channel. That really helps me out. So helps me make more content like this. Yeah, that'd be great. Anyway, I'll hope you enjoy your time in the water, and I might see you there in the water. See ya.